Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths, and finally a plasma cannon tutorial. Three things before we start. I've been on a break from the Depths, you may or may not have noticed. I'm back, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready for more, and I've started a second channel for non-From the Depths stuff if anyone's interested. Links are down in the description and the comments. And thirdly, apologies for taking so long to get around to this. I wanted to get familiar with plasma weapons before I started talking about them, but now I've played in a campaign, specifically a custom campaign with plasma-armed vehicles a bit, and both my vehicles shooting at the enemy and getting shot at by enemy plasma, and I think I understand them well enough to make a tutorial now, so let's get cracking. So the first thing to know about plasma is that it's got a very specific job, so to speak. It is a very power-dense, expensive weapon system that is a counter to block spam and, in particular, heavy armor. And the reason it can do this is because it has a very high AP, so plasma by default has 100 armor penetration, and heavy armor has 60, if it isn't stacked, 72 if it is. And plasma explosions, when they destroy a block, they cause secondary explosions for a percentage of the damage they do, which can cause more plasma explosions. So a single big plasma shot can really rip chunks off an enemy, and the only way to effectively stop the propagation of that is to have gaps in your armor. So this is effectively a counter to craft that really spam blocks to try and just get huge amounts of health, which is usually a counter to kinetic penetrators. So that's the niche that plasma has. It's great at that. It is kind of average at everything else. In particular, it is really terrible at shooting through water. So to give you an idea of that, oh, I'm already over here. My goodness. What we have here, we have our, what I consider a standard plasma gun. Fire, and you can see how the damage numbers drop when through air, and now when we shoot through water, it's gone. Plasma is even worse than lasers at shooting through water, so this is just about the worst anti-submarine weapon you could imagine. So it is above water surface only. It also requires both ammunition and energy. So good steam turbine is almost essential for building a good plasma cannon in order to keep the gun running. This fortress, by the way, which is kind of new, has a whole bunch of steam turbines just built into it. But for a big plasma gun, you are going to need something more like this. This is not the best steam engine in the world. It just gives you an idea. Where are you? A huge double-end electric turbine. Boop. So something like this, if you're wanting to really get big plasma guns. Not essential, but this is what I use and it seems to do the trick. Bearing in mind I'm not a steam expert. So, there are also kind of strict limits on certain things you can do with plasma cannons, also depending on what kind of emitter you use, which really determines what the plasma cannon's job is, and just numbers, specific numbers with them, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first, basic parts. To start off with, looking at the plasma screen, it all starts with the mantlet, which is a combination, which is like if you took an advanced cannon, firing piece and mantlet, and smushed them together. It's all in one block, very convenient. The AA mantlet, which connects to stuff from the top, so connectors poke into it from beneath, and the forward mantlet, which is what we've got here, connects to things from the back. So this is generally what you use for turrets, and this is generally what you use for not turrets, although, spoiler alert, the turret I show off later in the video, it uses a forward mantlet for reasons that we'll get into. So, mantlets, connectors, and then collectors are what connect to chambers, which actually store the plasma charges. You've got two versions of them. Four-sided ones, which connect every which way, and two-sided ones, which do not. These ones are useful when you've got separate plasma systems right next to each other. They're a little bit like, let's see here, they're a little bit like the gorge corners or pipes for cram cannons. And then you have the generators, which plug into the chambers, only from the sides, they don't do it from the back, and they are what actually generate the plasma charges, which is necessary for the plasma to actually plasma. We heard you like plasma, so we plasma while you plasma. So yeah, that is the basic blocks. This is a pretty straightforward weapon system otherwise. And there's two basic forms of Tetris for this particular weapon system. There is the rate of fire prioritizing, and there is the charge per shot prioritizing. So, helpfully color-coded here by myself, me, and I. Over here we have the generator-focused rate of fire prioritization Tetris, and over here we have the chamber-focused charge per shot. And this works better or worse depending, again, on which emitter we're going with. So, the emitters are where it's all at. So over here we have the accelerators, which act like the barrels of the plasma gun, heat sinks, which are an energy-free way of cooling the thing down, even though they're very expensive. Plasma is just expensive overall, and also heavy. You will notice that literally everything here is really damn heavy. But yeah, the destabilizers are really what determines what your plasma cannon's job is. Firstly is the stabilizer, which reduces the damage lost over distance. This is the most overall, all-round useful thing because there's no real drawbacks. It just means the thing is better at long range, which is pretty much always a good idea. And then you have the splitter, which fires multiple projectiles at once. And basically, this is very handy for very big plasma guns to effectively spit out a lot of individual little plasma things at once. And particularly if your plasma cannon is so big that you've hit the 200 charge per projectile cap, this is how you get around that and just throw like 10 max charge, 200 charge per shot plasma balls at once, and you can make a real mess of things. DoomPlasma, this is what it uses. And then the magnetic destabilizer is the awkward stepchild of this because it kind of throws away one of the main advantages of plasma, which is reducing the armor piercing down to 20 from 100, so it does half damage to metal, unstacked metal at that, and means it can only consume 1 charge per shot, but it effectively means that, like, it can generate, with 1 charge, 2 shots. So it kind of doubles the damage, but greatly reduces the AP, and effectively increases the rate of fire. If you're gonna make a C-Wiz with plasma, this is what you go with. Don't necessarily recommend it because APS is generally much better C-Wiz. Lasers as well. It's more material efficient. Plasma is just, I don't know, a 20 AP plasma gun can still make a mess of lightly armored things. So let's walk over here. So over here we have this kind of Tetris that I made up. This is pretty straightforward. It's like just has the generators pointing down, so most of the volume is made up with generators, and the chambers are on top. And this version has the stabilizer, this version has the splitter, and this version has the destabilizer, and so this is about as big as a destabilizer gets. It's almost at the max rate of fire with how many charges it has, and if you make it much bigger than this, you're just wasting chambers and generators and also your money. So a destabilizer plasma gun doesn't really get much bigger than this. These two can get much bigger, however. And over here we have the chamber-focused one. It's basically the opposite. The chambers are pointed down to maximize how much chamberage they have, and they just have at least 1 generator on each chamber pipe, so to speak. This is crap with the destabilizer because you're just reducing your rate of fire for no reason. It's much better. It is still okay for the stabilizer because that's like 77,000 damage per shot, which, if you do the math, it's an RPM of 23, which is about on par with a slightly faster than a cram cannon usually. So that looks something like this. Pew, and you wait for a little while, and eventually it goes pew again. Then you have the split. Wait, no, I went to the wrong thing. This is the other one. This is the one I want. I got lost. Rambot got lost. So it goes Q, wait for it. How many seconds? Not 10 seconds. Less than that. Hello? Any minute now. Gun is nodding. Gun is nodding off. Zzz. Takes a hot second. Maybe I need to adjust that. Anyway, and then the splitter, which by the way, I keep forgetting to do this. The RPM unit limit is for actual, like, projectiles, by the way, so not shots, so you need to remember that. So that flings off there, and then it goes off like that, and it's great. And I just remembered, we don't actually have enough charges for this thing to justify being a splitter. That's a problem. So, yeah. What else can we talk about? Right. There are advantages to sustained fire versus burst fire. I prefer sustained fire because when burst fire misses, it's basically, you know, it makes your heart sink into your pants and is very bad. I can tell you all about that. I'm a cram gunner by nature. But it is cheaper, so focusing on chambers over generators is a way of making your plasma gun slightly cheaper. So this thing is about 43,000 materials, which is not cheap. But this thing, which performs in a similar manner and does more damage per shot, is almost 10,000 materials cheaper. So if you want to really maximize the use of your plasma gun, go for big numbers and chambers over anything else, unless you really want a decent rate of fire with a destabilizer. And yeah, the chambers are better for our friend over here, which is the splitter. So now we probably want to see what a big plasma gun looks like and what it can actually do. So this is a DoomPlasma example. It is not incredibly doomy, I have to say. You can get much more doom than this. And here is where plasma has a distinct disadvantage over, say, APS or crams or laser, anything like that. There is a limit to how long you can make the accelerator line. So this is about as long as it gets. You'll see that this accelerator on the front here is, like, it's not connected. Because, like, you can have about, let's see, let's count, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have 4 times 4 is 16. You can have about 16 meters of accelerators, and that's it. You can't have any more than that because there's a strict speed limit. So, the speed limit for a plasma gun is around 2,404 meters per second, which is plenty fast. And this is just, well, arguably not incredibly efficient. It should make this a splitter. The stabilizer, again, if you don't know what to use the stabilizer, it's best. So we're going to make this a splitter, and then we're going to cram that up. So charges used per projectile is... how many do we want to do there? We need to do math. Let's do... what's that divided by 10? 75 charges used per projectile. Which means then charge generation... 754, 750 divided by 40, 750 divided by 40 equals 18.75, so we're just going to put that to 18.75, 180. So we're going to do that to 180, and that should work just fine with the splitter. And we can see a huge shotgun blast of that. And I like to drop the... yeah, so there is an accuracy added to this, by the way. So burst size is blah blah blah. Make the numbers match with the generation and the cooling, and you should be fine. And let's shoot at a pyre, because shooting at the pyre is fun. Let's go over here. Spawn in the pyre. Let's have a look. And you can see that's 500,000 plasma damage just immediately off the bat there. Let's see, let's do it again. Let's watch the magic happen. Roughly 18 shots per minute is not great. How much does that do? So, 710. So this is where having a really damn big plasma gun is very helpful with the splitter in particular. And what I was saying before about the accelerators, you can't hide the mantlet, so to speak, deep in the back of a turret cap, which is why, if you see here, there's a line of connectors that has to go to the front of this big pancake turret. This is vulnerable, which is why I've wrapped it in heavy armor, and that's also why that is a forward mantlet, by the way. So, rather than an AA mantlet, because it needs to connect from the back. This isn't ideal for a turret, but also you don't want to thread connectors up to the floor at the very front of your turret. It gets shot at if you do that. And the pyre is very confused. Let's get one more shot off. Whee! Wow, we missed. How terrible. Hello! You're here. One more shot, please. One more shot because it's fun. One more shot because it's fun, please. So one of the advantages of that shotgun blast is that they spread out and they really spread out that damage. You can see this is non-stop heavy armor blocks and this plasma gun is making a real mess of it. And just for contrast, just want to show you what it's like with the destabilizer. So I'll just undo all my good work here. DoomPlasma Example. Again, this is about as big as you can practically get. I'm probably going to use this on a canoe of some kind. And it's set to target heat, just hot blocks, just because it's really useful against things like the pyre. So it goes pew, it missed, but that's okay. You can see just that, like, this thing doesn't care about heavy armor that much. It is going and just chunking huge chunks of stuff off it. This is how plasma is quite fun to watch work. It's not so fun if they're shooting at you, obviously, but yeah. Incidentally, as a main weapon, this is more of an endgame weapon if you're gonna have it as a main weapon, because it's basically a flying brick counter. So yeah, the pyre is currently has lost 4% health already, and that's just the one plasma gun. You can imagine what would be happening if you had two of them, or a well-balanced mix of weapons. We just shot this in the back. That's very nice. Okay, so now, let's build a plasma gun from scratch. So, we're gonna go with the destabilizer, because that's fun. So, the stabilizer is fun. Pew 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 is fun. So I'm going to start with a turret template, simply because that's quick. Let's go 9x9, because that's fun. And I'm just going to do my standard turret, which is just a very standard turret indeed. And what are we going to do here? We're going to do something like this. And we're going to have our collector here. Whoops, collector 4 sides. Collects like so. And we're going to have chambers like so. And also chambers like, whoops, no, we can't do that. We're going to do something different. We're going to do chambers like so. Then we're going to have, actually no. I know what I'm doing. I remember my own advice. So great thing about generators is that they attach to each other, so you can do this. And that's very convenient. It's very convenient. I think I just did this differently from what I was actually showing off before. Oh well. Oh well, what can you do? What can you do apart from it correctly? BorderWise. BorderWise. You must do things correctly. Why are you not doing things correctly? So we're going to have a crap ton of generators because we want rate of fire in this particular instance. And that fits nice and snugly into this 7x7 block, which is very, very nice, very, very nice. And here's where we find out whether this is connected right. Not going to spend a huge amount of time on the turret cap. accelerators, 1, 2, 3. And then heat sinks. So, we're going to put a destabilizer on there because pew 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 is fun. And let us go max accelerator charge. Heat per shot is that, which means we can probably chuck some heat sinks on the bottom as well. So now we're just going to finish armoring this up. You don't have to armor your turrets as thoroughly as this. It does help to armor the front at the very least. Oi. Oi, oi, oi. There we go. There we go. So what do we got here? We got something like this. And again, you don't have to armor your turrets like this. And I'm just going to do this. Because that's funny to me. To make a turret of sorts. Do 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 do. A plasma gun is being made here. It's a plasma gun. Do 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 do. We all live in a yellow submarine. A yellow submarine. A yellow submarine. There we go. There we go. There we go. And we appear to have a plasma gun of sorts with a very fast improvised turret cap. The great thing about these things is that plasma components tend to be quite tough, so you don't have to panic too much about sticking them out in an exposed manner, but you still shouldn't do that. Alright, now what can we do here? We need to mess around with this. So total heat generation is 118. So let's go. Energy, useful cooling is actually enough, so that's nice. Alright, so this is where we do math. We have 2 shots per charge. Charge is 5.4, so times 2, 10.8 per second. So 10.8 times 60 is 600. So this is max RPM, and now let's see. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna put a little bearing rangefinder here so we can see what the hell we're doing. And whoop. And now let's chuck this against. Oh gee, I don't know. Let's have fun. Let's throw it at an atlas and see what happens. And it goes pew 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 pew. And I've made a plasma gun in less than 5 minutes. And you can see that like the destabilizer does horrible things to lightly armored targets. So if you want to go full Star Wars and make like something that just eats lightly armored targets, this has probably actually got slightly too many generators for its size. So yeah, this is basically as big as a thing needs to get. And you can actually up the amount of cooling for this, just so the accuracy doesn't fall, because as they get hot, they do get more inaccurate. So that's basically plasma cannons. Like, they go pew pew pew. What more can you ask for? Pew 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 pew. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope I haven't forgotten anything. Like, oh, that will not do. We need more. Keep shooting, because it's funny. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters. Please go check out my second channel. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell.